Let's talk Battlefront.
Sector is clear. Not clear, not clear!
A staple of Star Wars video games. There have been plenty of Battlefront games, and while all of them have their charm and appeal, some are definitely better than others. Games like the original Battlefront may have kicked off the franchise, but the game itself is extremely limited, especially by today's standards. The handheld games like Battlefront Elite Squadron and Renegade Squadron offered interesting stories and faithfully brought the Battlefront formula to a handheld format, but they were also limited to the capabilities of the hardware and often had to cut corners. However, two games in the series made a bigger impact than any of the others, and oddly enough, they have the same name: Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2005 and Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2017. These are two of the most popular Star Wars games of all time, and with both games being part of the long history of Battlefront, it's inevitable that people would compare them and ask, which game is the better game? Does new technology and modern graphics trump old-school split-screen shoot-'em-up fun? Can the charm of the original outshine its flaws? Or are we simply looking at the game through rose-tinted glasses? Well, we're going to take a look. And before you type in the comments, no, we are not factoring in the abysmal launch of the newer Battlefront 2 with the loot boxes and paywalls. We are looking at the finished product now that the support for the game has ended and there will be no further updates. So, let's not waste any more time and let's dive in. I feel I have to say I love both of these games. I really have no bias here. If one is better than the other, remember that my conclusion is not the only one. You might understandably prefer one over the other. I'm just going to look at both games based solely on what the games give us. We will be judging the games based on the following categories: gameplay, presentation, maps, heroes, game modes, and story. And keep in mind, this is not going to be a comprehensive dive into all the little details of each game and picking them apart bit by bit. This is just going to be a general overview and tackling the big things. Starting with gameplay. To be completely honest, the core elements of pure Battlefront gameplay are very present in both games. You take control of a trooper in the era of your choice. 2005 Battlefront offers 4 factions: Galactic Republic and Rebel Alliance for the good guys, and the CIS and Galactic Empire for the bad guys. Battlefront 2 2017 offers 3 classes for each side. Along with the Rebels and the Republic, the good guys also get the Resistance and the bad guys get the First Order. Both games let you take over one of several classes of infantry. In the 2005 game, there are 6: Soldier, Heavy, Engineer, Sniper, Officer, and 2 special classes. There are technically 8 if you include the pilots and Marines, but they basically play identically to the Engineer and Soldier, so we don't count them right now. Battlefront 2 2017 has 7 classes: Assault, Heavy, Officer, Specialist, and 3 special units. Enforcers like the First Order Flame Trooper, Aerial like the Republic Jet Troopers, and Infiltrators like the KFX Spy. Depending on the map, you may also be given access to vehicles. In the 2005 Battlefront 2, these can be found at points along the map. In the 2017 version, you have to secure a set number of battle points by defeating enemies or completing objectives in order to select the vehicle from the selection menu upon dying or respawning. These vehicles in both games range from speeders to tanks to armored walkers. When playing as infantry in both games, you start from an over-the-shoulder third-person perspective. However, both games allow you to switch to a first-person mode with certain exceptions. Both Battlefront 2 games have a similar standard game mode. This involves the attacking team capturing enemy command posts at strategic points on the map, while the defending team fights them back long enough to end the game and run out the clock. In Battlefront 2 2005, when firing your weapon, you run low on ammunition that can be picked up along with health from defeated enemies or by locating health and ammo droids around the map. They can also be replenished by engineers. While this added a degree of challenge requiring you to be smart with your ammo, it would often be tedious when you need a thermal detonator only to realize you just used your last one and now have to find an ammo droid or defeat an enemy. In the 2017 game, your ammo doesn't run out. Instead, your weapons will overheat, requiring you to either wait for it to cool down or stop the meter between one of 2 spots on the cooldown display. Stopping between the blue bar will instantly cool down your weapon. However, stopping between the yellow bar will cool down your weapon and allow you to fire your weapon without overheating for a brief period of time. While your health will regenerate the longer you go without taking damage, you can only regenerate so much health without certain upgrades. Battlefront 2 2017 also has what are called star cards for all classes. These cards, unlocked through leveling up your character and upgradable as you play, will offer a few advantages such as shorter cooldown periods, adding a small bit of health upon defeating an enemy, etc. While playing in Battlefront 2 2005, you may receive a message asking if you would like to play as a hero. These are usually assigned upon the player reaching a prerequisite that can be modified in the game menu. Each map has a particular hero assigned to it for light side and dark side. Heroes are fast, strong, and have more health than any of the other classes. You are able to play as the hero until you are defeated, or until the lightsaber meter or time limit runs out. In Battlefront 2 2017, heroes are not limited to one per map, and are instead assigned based on the faction. The Galactic Republic, for example, allows you to play as Anakin, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Chewbacca, while the Separatist heroes include Count Dooku, Darth Maul, General Grievous, and Bossk. Like the 2005 game, heroes are far more powerful, agile, and have far greater advantages in battle. Unlike the 2005 game, however, the role of the hero is not offered at random to any player who meets the prerequisites. Rather, they are playable when the player reaches 4,000 battle points. The biggest difference, however, is that there is no time limit for the heroes. Upon being defeated, you must either return to playing as a trooper, or wait for a few moments to play as a hero again if you have enough battle points. While it's up to personal preference whether you prefer the more random heroes from the 2005 game or the unlockable ones of the 2017 game, the basic idea behind heroes is still the same in both instances. Both games also allow you to take to the skies in starfighter modes, which allow you to take on enemies in various crafts. Standard ships like X-Wings are good for all-around fighters, whilst bombers and interceptors are more for specialized fight styles. One major advantage that Battlefront 2 2005 has over Battlefront 2 2017 is that in starfighter modes where the objective is to destroy the enemy cruiser, you are able to land inside the enemy ship and sabotage them from the inside, something that was completely absent from the 2017 game. Something the 2017 game adds to starfighter modes, however, is hero starfighters. Much like heroes in standard modes, hero starfighters are unlocked through collecting battle points. Ships like the Millennium Falcon, which has a version for every era, the Slave One, Vader's TIE Advanced, and Luke's X-Wing are all playable with unique abilities. This covers basic gameplay, and while I think it's too close to give either side the advantage, I will say it does feel more fluid and engaging in the 2017 version. At least in my opinion. So we'll be giving both games a point. We now move on to presentation. Battlefront 2 2005 tries to capture the spirit of the films, but at the same time, its main priority is to be a fun game that plays well, and it definitely succeeds there. The gameplay is fun on its own, but when accompanied by John Williams' scores along with the sounds of the battlefield all around you, this was the first time I really felt immersed in the world. The menu screens also take inspiration from the world of Star Wars, with the selection screens displayed as though you're looking at a datapad or computer screen from Star Wars. The 2017 game goes for more of a cinematic feel, trying to balance the high-action gameplay with dynamic settings, detailed maps, and immersive sound effects. And while the menu isn't quite as immersive as the 2005 game in my opinion, I'm going to have to give the point here to the 2017 game. Mainly because this is what you want from a Star Wars game in terms of presentation and feeling. You want to feel as though you're living the films. Not only do the graphics and camera work play a factor in this, but even small things from the options menu like turning on a film grain filter, adding lens distortion, and other little things all add to the experience. The 2005 game is still immersive in its own right, but the overall presentation is just a little better on the 2017 game. Now, on to maps. Both of these games offered a wide variety of familiar locations from Star Wars to play in, both in space and on land. The 2005 game has 18 ground maps and 6 space maps. These locations range from Mos Eisley Spaceport to Mustafar to the Jedi Temple. The space maps, while a cool idea, are all basically the same, just with a different planet below. Battlefront 2 2017, however, has over 20 ground maps, spanning multiple game modes and multiple starship maps that each feel unique to the location, such as flying through the wreckage of the Death Star. But quantity is not necessarily better than quality. And while there are more maps in Battlefront 2 2017, and they are breathtaking in how detailed they are, many are pretty forgettable. Kessel, for example, is basically just a series of caves. And some maps that appear in both games are better in the 2005 version, such as Mos Eisley. Not to mention, the 2005 game let you fight in some incredible locations that most fans agree should have been in the 2017 game, such as Mustafar and Coruscant. It's again a matter of personal preference, but I'm giving the point to the 2005 game simply because a lot of the maps were better choices or handled better in terms of layout and design. Now, onto what everyone came for. The heroes and hero modes. Battlefront 2005 had a wide roster of heroes, with 17 playable heroes. And honestly, that's probably the best I can say about the heroes in the 2005 game, because the 2017 game has 22 playable heroes, and this isn't even including the hero ships. In terms of hero modes, where you play as heroes only, the 2017 game has 3. Starfighter Assault, where hero starships all fight each other in 3-round matches, Heroes vs. Villains, where teams of 4 take on each other to eliminate the enemy team, and Hero Showdown, a 2v2 elimination style mode. The 2005 game only has one hero mode, a team free-for-all style mode that can only be played on one map by choosing Mos Eisley and selecting Assault. Heroes in both games have abilities that bolster their abilities, ranging from force powers to explosives. In the 2017 game, each character has unique force abilities to them, like Luke's Repulse, Obi-Wan's Defensive Rush, Vader's Choke, etc. In the 2005 game, abilities are kind of copy and pasted to different heroes. Moves like Force Push are given to a number of Saber heroes, as well as Saber Throw and Pull. On top of this, most lightsaber heroes play exactly the same. Characters like Anakin, Obi-Wan, Ki-Adi, and Luke all play nearly identical with minimal differences. In the 2017 game, all heroes feel distinct, not only due to their unique animations, but also their playstyles. For example, Luke is fast and agile, but has average health. Obi-Wan is very durable and defensive with great stamina, but lacks the offensive capability of someone like Anakin, who has very devastating attacks and abilities, but lower stamina and slower attack speeds. Add to this, lightsaber fights in the 2017 version are not only more engaging and dynamic, but also pose a challenge depending on who you're playing as and their strengths and weaknesses. Dooku, for example, is great at dealing with characters like Yoda because of Yoda's slow attack speed, but he has a tougher time against heroes who he can't overwhelm with brute force like Obi-Wan. Grievous is lethal against saber heroes in the right hands, but his defensive abilities against blasters aren't as good. It almost becomes a game of chess in that you have to know how each character plays to get the upper hand. Not to mention, it's rewarding to learn all the little tips and tricks that can give you the edge in battle. Now, let's give the heroes in the Battlefront 2005 game their due, because they actually gave us some awesome stuff that the new game doesn't have. For one thing, as fun as it is to play as Palpatine in the 2017 game, the 2005 game not only allows you to use his lightning attacks, but his lightsaber as well, something fans of the 2017 game were clamoring for before support for the game ended. It also allows you to play as Mace Windu, something you can only do in the 2017 version with mods on the PC port. It's also cool that you can play as both Jango Fett and Boba Fett on the dark side. There is a variety to the heroes, but not enough to give them the point. Even though I'm sure this comes as a shock to nobody, Battlefront 2 2017 gets the point here. Also, fun fact, James Arnold Taylor, Corey Burton, Matthew Wood, Tamura Morrison, and Tom Kane all reprised their 2005 Battlefront 2 roles for the 2017 game as Obi-Wan, Dooku, Grievous, Boba, and Yoda respectively. I honestly just think that's super cool. On to game modes. Now, you might think that the 2017 game has this in the bag. There's way more game modes like Galactic Assault, Ewok Hunt, Blast, Hero Showdown, and the fan favorite Supremacy mode. But let's really look at what the Battlefront 2005 game had to offer. First, you had modes like Conquest, similar in play to co-op mode in the 2017 game. You also have Assault for space battles, which again are better in the 2005 game. Capture the Flag, Hero Assault, and Hunt, where you hunt dangerous wildlife like Wampas, Ewoks, or Tusken Raiders. It's a unique game mode that probably inspired Ewok Hunt in the 2017 game. But the game mode everyone remembers most is Galactic Conquest. This is the standout mode from the 2005 game. You take control of a faction and send your fleet to different systems to battle for control, all while using credits you earn to purchase upgrades, heroes, and ships that can be placed around the map. Not only was the presentation of this mode great, making you feel like a general looking over the galactic maps of the galaxy, but it's what these games need to be. Fun. It's super fun. I know I said I'd try not to bring nostalgia into this, but it's hard not to get sentimental remembering the hours my brother and I would put into this mode. It was a blast. Now, do these game modes beat out the modes offered in the 2017 game? Honestly, in my opinion, outside of the hero modes, yes, for two main reasons. Reason one being that several of the game modes offered in the 2017 game, like Galactic Assault, Heroes vs. Villains, Hero Showdown, and Blast, are online modes only, meaning that if you aren't connected to the internet or nobody is on, you're relegated to playing modes offered in instant action like Conquest and Supremacy, which is a problem because of the second reason. The AI in Battlefront 2017, even on expert mode, is not very good. If you are halfway competent at the game, there is relatively little challenge. Not to mention you'll be fighting bad guys only to see one of your hero AI characters just waltz into a wall or into oncoming fire. It's a mess. If you're online, 2017 has more to offer, but the 2005 game, while still offering online modes, was made for a single or two-player experience. The AI is much better and it still feels great to play these modes even all these years later. But now we move on to the deciding factor, the story. And I already know things are going to get heated here. Battlefront 2 2005 story mode is called Rise of the Empire and is narrated by a retired clone of the 501st Legion. Their narration and story are accompanied by in-game footage and footage from the films, and gives us some iconic monologues. You then play through missions tied together loosely through the narrative. Battlefront 2 2017 story mode takes place during Return of the Jedi and spans the years following. The player takes control of Commander Iden Versio of Inferno Squadron as you fight for the Empire leading to its defeat. After witnessing Imperial atrocities, however, and seeing the intense power struggle left following the Emperor's defeat, you and your crewmate and future lover, Del, defect from the Empire and join the Rebel Alliance. Along the way, you play as characters like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia, Lando, and more. There's a wide variety of shooter levels, vehicle stages, and espionage levels. Now, which game had the better story? It's tough to say because it is a very subjective question. However, even though I have my issues with the story itself, I'm giving the point to Battlefront 2 2017. The reason? If you were to go back to Rise of the Empire, there really isn't much of an actual story mode. It's more or less a series of missions tied together by a narration. It's done well, but if you remove the simple narration, the story does not exist. The story in the 2017 game is an actual story. You see events unfold, the destruction of the Death Star, Operation Cinder, the Battle of Jakku. You aren't just told about it by a narrator. And like I said, the story isn't perfect, but it is a coherent narrative told with visuals and cutscenes that has a beginning, middle, and an end. 2 endings if you count the DLC. So overall, I am confident in saying that Battlefront 2 2017 is the superior game. But honestly, I don't think there needs to be a competition between these two games. The 2005 game is a bit dated, sure, but it's still a solid, competently made game that holds up today, even compared to a lot of modern shooters. It's fun, sometimes addicting, and it's a time capsule back to a simpler time. A time where you get home from school, grab your favorite snack, throw your backpack on the floor, plop down in front of the TV, and turn on your favorite Star Wars game to get immersed in a galaxy far, far away. Both of these games are fantastic in their own ways, and while some may say which is better, I say, is it too much to ask for both? Thank you guys again for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Be sure to leave a like and a comment as well to help us out. Also, please consider donating to the channel on Patreon. These longer videos can be a nightmare to edit, so anything you can spare really helps out. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. Link to the Concordia Jedi Discord is down in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.